I'm like hopeless. Great. I'll play what you play.
I do most of it.
Yeah, that's where I'll be.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
I'm sure. By the way, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the plasma jam at EJC.
Uh-huh.
Last.
Yeah. No, he's
Aaron and Daniel.
you know, thing.
Yeah, and great musician.
Yes. There was a reason I couldn't go. I mean, there was a specific reason I couldn't go that night.
Okay.
Or after.
Yeah.
It wasn't I'm going, well, no, I really couldn't go.
I totally believe that. But I hope you come back. I plan on coming back myself. I know they're taking me this week. What is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
I don't know, there are like musical things that happen or people coming in at the last moment, or, like ridiculous, like that doesn't fit in what clock did they think they were, it's just, and if you're in that mood, if there's no, like.
Jacqueline! Hello!
Hayya supplement, page 60. From the beginning. Return again. A return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to where you are. Return to where you are. Whole again and home again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Whole again and home again. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Home again. Home again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Whole again and home again. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Page 51 in the supplement. That repeats, Karov. Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom. It's a joyous day. I always feel like I need to say that right up front. And but maybe I'm repeating myself. I really feel a need to repeat myself because I still feel this sense back of the, maybe I want to say this, which is also something I say often, which is Jewish tradition is wise enough to understand that we can hold many emotions at one time. And this is certainly I don't know, we can call it a solemn day or a serious day. It's a day that we really look at our lives and we look at our communities, our families, we look at the world, and we do sincerely want to see where we have caused hurt and harm and where we've missed the mark. And Lord knows that there's a lot of pain in this world, and there's parts of it that we're a part of, and part of it that we are more passively a part of or complicit in, and there's all kinds of ways in which we really, really need to seriously look. And that's a joyous thing, that we have an opportunity set aside to really look, who is the person who I really want to be? And the thing is that none of us are going to become totally different people. None of us should become totally different people, because it really starts with really honoring and accepting and embracing who we are right now. If we're not coming from that place, we're not going to be able to do anything else. And so I really encourage to turn up the dial as much as you can on love for this day, really to turn up the dial on compassion, to turn up the dial on gentleness. You know, it's a probing light, I guess, of really looking at our lives, of looking at our hearts and our minds, but doing it with really profound gentleness and care. And when we do, then we can get close enough to really perceive what we need to, and God willing, make the change that we can at this point in our lives. So that's the invitation. And collectively, I want to invite that there's room here for all of our prayers. Or not prayers. If prayer, even that word, is something that doesn't speak to you or work for you, that's fine. There's room here for your intentions. There's room here for your heart, for your mind, for just being here as you are. And whatever wishes or whatever words you want to say, there's things that we're going to be saying together, but it really comes together through the many in the one. That each of us really bringing our true selves, our authentic selves. And so please be at home, and please participate in whatever way you are moved to, out loud or quietly. We'll be going through the Machzor and also using the supplement, and really at any point, if there's something that you want to meditate on or just be quiet with, please do that. Please be at home. I'm going to invite Vija Gutov up to light the candles. If you want to follow along with the blessings, they're on page 688. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat v'Yom HaKippurim. If you have a tallit, I invite you to take it up at this point. And whether you do or not, we'll just have a few moments of maybe just a moment of contemplation. What is it? What is the shelter that I need right now? What is the I don't know, the protection? What do I want to be surrounded with as I go into this day? And we'll say the blessing together on 690. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu v'hit atef b'tzitzit. So in a moment, Andrew is going to come up and play for us, as he does every year, and invite us. It's a real blessing that we have, a real gift that we have these minutes of contemplation and reflection before we chant the Kol Nidre prayer. And so I invite us to, if you're comfortable, find a posture that is awake but not rigid, as we prepare to receive this melody of Kol Nidre. And it's like we can picture the notes really kind of maybe penetrating or descending into our hearts. Like, what do they need to pick up? What do they need to shine light upon? What do they need to turn over? In what ways does our heart need to be opened a little bit to be ready for this prayer that we're going to chant, which really is a prayer. It's a prayer of liberation. It's a prayer of recognizing the things that I didn't do, the things that I should have done, or the things that I wish, or the hurt that I caused, that obviously whatever interpersonal work that we need to do, and I know many of us have been doing that, I'm sure, making amends or talking to people, asking for forgiveness or granting forgiveness, and if you haven't yet, the gates are open. And so, but the idea of, okay, we don't have to look back and pour over that. We don't have to feel shame about that. We can actually think, what is it I can do to bring healing or to bring reconciliation or make amends in this moment? Kol Nidre. If you are able, please rise as the Torah scrolls are removed for the ark for Kol Nidre. Got it? Here, David. Page 692. Vishiva Shamala, Vishiva Shamata, Al Da'at HaMakom, V'al Da'at HaKahal, Anu Matirin Lehitpalel, Im Havayani.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei ushvuei ve'charamei ve'konomei ve'kinusei ve'chinuyei ding dana udeish debana udeacharimna udeasana Navshatana Miyom Kippurim Sheva Ad Yom Kippurim Zeh Habalenu Letova Kulhon icharadna vehon Kulhon yehon sharan Shevikin Shevitin B'teilinum vutalim Lashirin velakayamin nidrana ala nidre ve'esarana la esarei
Shatana Miyom Kippurim She'avar Ad Yom Kippurim Zeh Haba Aleinu Letova Kulhon Icharadna Behon Kulhon Yehon Sharan Sharikin Sharitin B'tehelin Umutalin Lasharirin Velakayamin Nidrana Nidre Esarana la esare Ushavuatana Lashvuot Kol Nidre Vesare Ushue Vecharame Vekoname Vekinuse Shatana Miyom Kippurim She'avar Ad Yom Kippurim Zeh Haba Aleinu Letova Kulhon Icharadna Behon Kulhon Yehon Sharan Sharikin Sharitin B'tehelin Umutalin Lasharirin 696. ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל, ולגר בתוכם, כי לכל העם בשגגה. May our hearts be open. May our hearts be alive with forgiveness for all the ways that we have caused hurt and caused harm, in sync with your abundant kindness, lifting us up as you have done so many times. V'sham ne'emah, v'yomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha, v'yomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha, v'yomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. And we'll recite together the last line in the Hebrew. It's transliterated right below as we give thanks for our lives, for being brought, being sustained, and being brought to this very moment, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu Vehigianu lazman hazeh. You can be seated. We turn to page 700 in the Machzor. Since it is also Friday night, also Shabbat, we add just a little bit of Shabbos in here. Tov Lahodot, second line in the Hebrew is also the second line in the transliteration. And a helpful ingredient to add into the recipe of this day, gratitude. So really taking a moment and locate the gratitude within, around, really, maybe there's a name, maybe there's a face, maybe there's just a feeling. Babo
It's my joy to invite up Deborah Eisenbach-Budner, Havurah's Education Director, spiritual educator.
So if you see big smiles on some of the faces of the people up here, it's because it is really a joy to see you all. It's really a pleasure. It brings a big smile. So for all the words and rituals that have accreted to Yom Kippur, and there are many, the original instruction is fairly simple. Not necessarily easy, but simple. Just listen to half of the small handful of verses that our Torah gives us about this mighty holiday from Leviticus Vayikra 16, chapter 16, verses 30 and 31. And we'll chant these tomorrow morning. Ki vayom hazeh Yechaper aleichem litaher etchem mikol hatotechem lifnei Adonai titaru Shabbat Shabbaton hi lachem ve'initem et nafshotechem chukat olam. For on this particular day, atonement will be made for all of you to purify you from all your wrongdoings. In the presence of Adonai, you will be purified and cleansed. A stopping time of all stopping times it is for you, and you shall make yourselves vulnerable in your bodies and souls. It is a law for all time and all space. Shabbat, Shabbaton, a stopping time of all stopping times. This is what Yom Kippur is. See what I mean? Stopping is the precondition for tshuva, the work of these days of awe, turning or reorienting ourselves. Whatever we are doing, wherever we are going, wittingly or unwittingly, first we must stop. And when we stop, we're more able to notice our vulnerabilities. And when we stop, we're more able to take responsibility for our wrongdoings. When we stop, we can ask, what am I trying to turn away from? And then it is in this stopping that we can even begin to ask ourselves, what am I trying to turn toward? How can I reorient myself? And maybe we can begin to imagine, what would it be, how could it feel to become purified and cleansed, even for just one moment? Tshuva, the work of these days of awe, is this stopping and reorienting ourselves. And so we prepare for the Baruch Hu, a call and response. The Baruch Hu, which will be on 708, appears in every prayer service, and it calls us to gather ourselves. We stop, we gather our wits, we gather our deeds, we gather our people, we gather all our fragments, those beloved and those that carry shame. We gather our strength to bring our whole selves here right now. Look how easy that is. So first the call, Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach. This is in the second person plural imperative. You all, bless. You all. Bless Adonai, the one of blessing. We stop. Are we ready to give blessing? Are we even able to see blessing yet? Are we willing to see something beyond our own selves, something greater than the sum of its parts, something in this world that is blessing? And then comes the response. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach. Yes, we bless the infinite, the one of blessing. Le'olam va'ed, in all space and in all time and more. Let's dare, and it's not easy for some of us, to heed the call of the Baruch Hu, to stop and to give blessing. Page 708. And we stand. Whoops, sorry.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. And on page 710, Ume'avir yom, ume'vi laila, umavdiu ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid imloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. You be seated, and we turn to page 69. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to heed. We are loved. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of the fall. We are turn to page 714 for the Shema. And that unending love is the gateway into the Shema. And as Deborah was teaching, we need to stop. The invitation is to stop, and sometimes it takes us stopping to be able to perceive that love, to perceive the ways in which we are loved, and whether externally or just in our own hearts. So if there's some piece of you maybe that's exiled right now, that you feel that within your own heart, maybe directing love in that direction as we prepare to call out the Shema together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. Ve'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha beveitecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha ubisharecha.
And we're in the same place in our supplement, page 68 at the top.
Soon Draw water in joy from the living well. Draw water in joy from the living well. Waters of life, Shalom, Frosalenu, Sukkot Shalom, Shalom, spread over us, spread over us, wings of peace, Shalom.
The Shamru is on page 734 in your Machzor. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam, berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash. And on page 734, if I get there. Ki vayom hazeh yechaper alehem letaher etchem mikol chatotechem lifnei Adonai titcharu.
We turn to page 736 for the Chatzi Kaddish, which will take us into the Amida. And so we'll have several minutes on our own silent prayer, meditation. As always, please do what you're moved to do in the silence. The words of the Amida will take us 740 through 774. Use any or all of that, the Hebrew, the English, above or below the line. we might try just really stopping. I'm really appreciating that teaching that Deborah was just offering. And, we can be really still physically and still be really moving with a lot of pace. And so it might be a nice lens to just to turn inwards and notice what's moving and see if we can find some stillness. Not that we need to force it, but just to see what's churning and seeing if we can bring that same gentle, loving light of awareness to that as we turn deeper into this day. Chatzi Kaddish, if you're able, please rise, 7:36. Yitkada v'yitkada Shemei Rabbah v'yamad yivarach chivrutzeh v'yamlich malchutzeh b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael Bagala u'izman kariv v'imeru amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevalach le'alam u'ma'ameh Amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitbar v'yitoma v'yitnaseh v'yitada v'yitale v'yitala Shemei l'kudesha b'richu li'ela Mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, damiran be'alma, v'imeru, amen. Yaida, 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 Shana Tova. There's a teaching from the Hasidic master, the Baal Shem Tov, on a verse from the flood story when God tells Noah, make a window in the ark, sohar ta'aseh la teva. The word for ark, teva, though, can also mean word. Thus his drash, make a window in the word. Words of Torah and prayer, the Baal Shem urges, should radiate light. I've been contemplating this teaching, though, as speaking to words in general. When words become monochrome, flatten into particular meanings rather than refract their multivalent realities, they become less generative, more utilitarian, even weaponized. Words and phrases, they mean different things in different contexts when spoken and heard by different people. But our use of them often is aimed at solidifying them and making them opaque, impenetrable. At the Passover Seder, a night-long ritual dedicated to telling a story, the Haggadah praises each person who expands the telling of the Exodus. It's generally understood to celebrate diving into the details, going late into the night, analyzing the text. But I can hear it also praising the expansion of how we tell the story, finding new ways of naming the path from enslavement to freedom, using new words, finding new phrases, keeping ourselves from slipping into the well-worn ruts that inhibit liberation right here in this moment. Narratives, they shape how we see people, ourselves and others, in ways that predate us by generations even. We live in realities as individuals and communities constructed through language that someone first spoke or, more consequentially, wrote into being. Ta-Nehisi Coates' new book, The Message, is about just this. It's received a lot of press, as I'm sure many of you have seen, for its content about Israel-Palestine, which is one of the sections of the book. But the through line in the book is the question of the stories we've inherited and the stories that we tell. At one point, he imagines what his late father might have observed as he assessed the systematic inequities that pervaded his life. What my father would have seen is that he was confronted not just by the yawning chasm between wealth and want, but by the stories that sought to inscribe that chasm as natural. He would have pointed to the arsenal of histories, essays, novels, ethnographies, teleplays, treatments, and monographs, which were not white supremacy itself, but its syllabus, its corpus, its canon. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, blessed is the one who spoke, and the world came into being. Traditionally, we say this prayer every morning. It's a reference to Genesis, of course, in which the world is created through words. And God said, let there be light, and there was light, and on like that. I've offered the intention countless times that this prayer reminds us that with words we create worlds, and with words we can destroy them as well. But I realize maybe it's more true to say simply that we create worlds through our words. Sometimes those worlds are redemptive, loving, and caring. Other times they are cruel, callous, and false. As Coates hauntingly instructs us, in order for violence to be done, there is virtually always a narrative that justifies it. Stories about people, their origins, their histories, their innate nobility or brutality that give credence to what is done either to us or for us. The language, the stories shape how we are seen by others and ourselves. And so on some level, they shape who we are. As Coates implores his writing students to whom the book is addressed, we are charged with examining the stories we have been told and how they undergird the politics we have accepted, and then telling new stories ourselves. I hear these words and read Coates' book, and even though I haven't reached that section yet, just beginning to make my way through it, I'm reflecting on the stories that we tell in regard to Israelis and Palestinians, and I want to reflect on that. A realm in which we so desperately need to tell new stories. And before I say more, I want to name that I felt some trepidation as I thought about this talk and about the holidays in general, because this is such a sensitive and fraught time, and not for all of us in the same way. My intention here is to name some things that feel true to me as part of the ongoing learning that we do in our community to discover new stories and reclaim old ones that help in our own small ways to create new realities. Realities, as I was offering on Rosh Hashanah, in which we as Jews find safety and comfort in solidarity with others. And realities in which both Israelis and Palestinians are safe and free, which I believe is a reality we all want to see manifest. Over this past year, of course, there have been in our public sphere a quantity of stories about the lives, the experience, and the nature of Israelis and Palestinians, the extent to which we could have never fathomed a year ago. And I'm often left heartbroken and unmoored by some of the stories I witness being told about one of them or the other. I'm also struck again and again by the imbalance between which people gets to tell their stories where and how. On the right in this country, I assume we would all recognize that imbalance. The state of Israel is sacrosanct, and Palestinians are other. On the left, especially in a city like Portland, it may feel these days like the Palestinian story is being told more loudly and clearly than the Israeli one. I imagine some of you feel that way. And I get that. This past year has afforded Palestinians an opportunity to tell their stories on a global stage, especially in progressive circles, in ways they have never been able to even approach. In the streets, on college campuses, and in our public schools, there's an unprecedented level of awareness about the Palestinian experience, and with it, unprecedented advocacy and agitation. And I know it has felt jarring and uncomfortable for many among us. One thing I want to highlight, though, is that within halls of power, in the United States in particular, on both the right and the left, Israel is still centered, and Palestinian voices continue to be ignored, silenced, and diminished. We can see this in regards to which student groups have gotten suspended and how law enforcement is harnessed, for instance. And we saw it on perhaps the biggest stage among liberal America at the Democratic National Convention, when the request for a Palestinian speaker was denied. The parents of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who at the time was still being held captive by Hamas, though tragically was later murdered, spoke movingly. I'm sure many of you saw it as well. Their appearance and their heartfelt plea was a gut-wrenching and powerful testimony. As impossible as I can only imagine it was for them as parents, I felt heartened that they were given that opportunity to tell their story. Leaders requesting a Palestinian speaker, though, even though they agreed to have the speaker and their words vetted by the DNC, were denied that opportunity. Vice President Harris did lift up the struggle of both peoples in her speech, and I want to reflect on her words, which I assume most of us watched and I imagine appreciated. She certainly offered a more inclusive message than we have often seen from U.S. leadership at that level. In listening, though, I heard some familiar techniques that I've become accustomed to noticing when watching how the war and the conflict in general is reported on in the mainstream public. This is what she said. And let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself. Because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7th, including unspeakable sexual violence and the massacre of young people at a music festival. This is a powerful statement. She names specific atrocities committed, the perpetrators who committed them, and underscores Israel's agency in being able to respond. It's the recognition that every people deserves. She continued, at the same time, what has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. So many innocent lives lost, desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety over and over again. The scale of suffering is heartbreaking. This is a compassionate statement. But not only is there no perpetrator mentioned in this case, there's not even an offense. No action of any group against the people of Gaza. Notice the passive voice. What has happened in Gaza? If those sentences were taken out of context and we didn't know, we could almost be mistaken to think that Gaza had endured a series of natural disasters. The only indication of human-caused harm, and it's subtle, is the word innocent. So many innocent lives lost, implying that someone did something to those people that they didn't deserve. Either way, they have no agency, no right or recognized capability to defend themselves. They are certainly worthy of our compassion, but they are simply that, suffering and desperate. All they can do is flee, and all we can do is feel sorry for them. This is not about Vice President Harris, who I believe genuinely feels compassion for the Palestinian people. This is about the stories that we tell. There is a whole corpus of narratives dating back over 100 years and in ways much longer than that are foundations of this one. At the heart of those, perhaps, is the phrase, a land without a people for a people without a land. I grew up learning that, as I'm sure many of you did as well. It was a beacon for many European Jews, some of our ancestors fleeing for their lives, but it was patently false. And it rendered the people already living there invisible. The consequences of those narratives were severe. They shape how the lives and the deaths of each people are viewed to this day. We internalize them without even realizing it. To use Coates' words, they undergird the politics we have accepted. And they help justify what we have witnessed over this past year. In response to the brutal massacre of October 7th, a brutal massacre many times over in return that has to date killed over 40,000 people, rendered hundreds of thousands starving and suffering under inadequate medical care, and decimated an entire society. I know in my heart that we do not want this reality. We Jews, we human beings, certainly we at Havurah. But it's felt, honestly, very confusing to me, painfully so, over this past year to witness the story that so much of the Jewish world is telling. A story in which this mass killing is unfortunate, but necessary. I've struggled to locate other stories that might help us find a way through. What are the stories we need to tell? Or maybe that's not the right question. Maybe first we need to shine light on and through the stories we're currently telling. I find myself reflecting more and more on this image of the window in the Word, in this moment of words used so forcefully and narrowly. And I wonder, is there some way we can do this differently? And I'm thinking very much about our community right now. And I love how many faces I'm not familiar with and people I know who come maybe every high holidays, Havurah, or maybe this is your first time here, and it's so welcome, and it's wonderful to have you. And And in this moment, I want to say in particular, really just speaking to the Havurah community and all that we've been through over this year of trying to speak and listen and hear each other. And I'm thinking very much about our community right now, about how we within Havurah might be able to expand and enrich the language we have to name what is happening and to understand it. In May, the writer Zadie Smith had an article in the New Yorker entitled Shibboleth. A shibboleth is a word or a phrase that distinguishes one group from another. In addressing the discourse mainly on campuses concerning Israel-Palestine, Smith writes, "In these constructed narratives, there are always a series of shibboleths, that is, phrases that can't be said, or conversely, phrases that must be said. Once these words or phrases have been spoken, river to the sea, existential threat, right to defend, one state, two states, Zionist, colonialist, imperialist, terrorist, and one's positionality established, then and only then will the ethics of the question be attended to, or absolutely ignored." This is the word used as shield, or weapon even. It's the supplanting of engaged discourse with ideological orthodoxy. The subscription to a prevalent tendency in our society which mistakes certainty for wisdom and demonization for moral clarity. The origin of the term shibboleth is fascinating. It's from the book of Judges in the Bible when there was a civil war between the Israelite tribes of the Gileadites and the Ephraimites. Gilead was amassed at the Jordan, and when someone would come to cross, the soldiers would ask, "Are you an Ephraimite?" If the person said no, they would tell them to say the word shibolet. The Ephraimites, who pronounced the word sibolet, would be discovered and killed as soon as they spoke it. It was a method to expose one's status as a friend or enemy, specifically among one's own people. A tool of division. A shibboleth, then, represents our use of language to prove that someone is fundamentally wrong, not worthy of our concern or curiosity. One alternative, perhaps antidote to this, is taking time to truly inhabit words, not to turn away from them, but to grapple with them. Even those most fraught words and phrases, like the ones that Zadie Smith mentioned. They all either mean a lot more than they're often understood to, or they demand much more articulation and consideration than they generally get. We need to make windows for those words too, to engage as fully as we can with their multi-layered meanings. And this is a hope I have for us at Havurah in the year to come, that we find more ways to dwell within or among these words, these narratives, and to meet each other as we do so. One of the reasons this is so important for us as Jews is that some of the ways these phrases get condensed and confined paint our people in a false light. When we are willing to engage with the terms directly and shine light through them, we come to understand and tell a truer story. A story that may still not be easy for some of us, but one in which we can parse out the system from the people living within the system, and one we can learn from and envision our way out of. In response to the fraught term colonialism, for instance, we often turn away, we shut it down out of hand. It's not hard to find that concept in Zionist literature, though, or to see how it's transpired in practice. And once we acknowledge it, we can examine it and articulate how it is not the full story. We can name the primary roles of much larger colonial powers like the British Empire and the United States, rather than falsely characterizing Israel's role and uniqueness in the world. We can acknowledge the fullness of our people's history, the violence we've endured, the catastrophes we've faced, the many exiles that have led us to where we are today. And we can acknowledge the ways in which our history over the past century in Israel-Palestine has in turn caused a whole series of catastrophes for the Palestinian people. I keep returning to something I shared on Rosh Hashanah from John A. Powell of the Othering and Belonging Institute. He says, "We can be hard and critical on structures, but soft on people. Hard and critical on structures, but soft on people. What I'm trying to name is about structures, how systems maintained through violence harm people. But we need to have the clarity and the humility, frankly, to differentiate structures from the people who live within them. Across the political spectrum, we slip into dehumanization of one people or another. And while that has different consequences for different people, it is never a true or helpful story. Soft on people means that we can be clear-eyed and honest in criticizing systems while simultaneously upholding the humanity of each and every single person without exception. So here's a story we tell. It's a very short one that many of you know. Anyone who takes one life is as if they've destroyed an entire world. And anyone who saves one life is as if they've sustained an entire world. Perhaps all other stories are in service of this one. How do we reconcile the loss of all these worlds, since last Yom Kippur? The narratives we tell are still too confined, too encumbered by harmful stories that predate them. When our language is limited, so is our imagination, which is a faculty we urgently need right now. So let's make windows in our words, shine light through the stories we've inherited, and begin telling new realities into being in the year to come. Gamar Chatima Tova.
In your supplement is Ya'aleh. I do not know what page. I forgot to look it
It's
up.
with the wise. About
782. No.
Great.
780.
Oh, 782 in the Machzor. It's in the
Oh,
Machzor.
it's in the Machzor, 782.
Or 71 in the supplement. We turn to page 812 in the Machzor. If you are able, please rise.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh.
Page 814, we remain standing.
Shema, Shema, Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim uberatzon et tfilateinu. Shema, Shema, Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim uberatzon et tfilateinu. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu, yameinu kekedem, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu kekedem. Al tashlichenu milfanecha, Veruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu, al tashlichenu liet zikna kichlot kochvenu, al tazvenu, al tazvenu, Adonai Eloheinu, al tikach mimenu.
stay on that same page, third line down in the Hebrew in the transliteration. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Return us to you, and we will return. Renew us. Return us to who we can become. So we'll sing this together all the way through once, and then we're going to break into 3 parts. And so why don't we just say, over here, follow me. I'm going to sing first, and then here in the middle, follow Hannah, who's going to pick up after, and then Sasha and Margie over here follow that third, and we'll get some nice harmony going. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha v'nashuva We turn to page 820. If you're able, we'll continue rising Ashamnu. And we'll chant together the Hebrew, which is transliterated right below. And I feel like I really do always need to say this because there's still a notion that we should be sort of like beating our chests when we say this, but that's very unhelpful. I'm going to say that's very unhelpful. I mean, you can do it, but I don't think it's going to get you where you want to go. So I think the idea is more like we're knocking on our hearts, or we're maybe, and I mean, really, when I said earlier, like that there's room here for all our prayers, it's like, it is kind of mind-blowing if you were to just look around for a moment and just imagine all the joy, all the sorrow, all the fear, all the anxiety, all the longing, all the hurt from each and every one of us in this room. You know? So it's like, who knows what we're all carrying, and maybe you just need to like put your hand on your heart and just see if you can tune into that sense of feeling loved and cared for, or just being okay, just as you are. Ashamnu, page 820. Ashamnu Bhagavate Gazalnu, Dibanu Dofi, ay, 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 Hevinu, V'hirshanu, Zadnu, Chamasnu, Tafanu Shaker, ay, 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 Yatsnura, Kizavnu, Latsnu, Maradnu, Niatsnu, ay, 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 Saranu, Avinu, Pashanu, Saranu, Kishinu Ore, ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu. We can be seated for a moment, and I'm going to invite Deborah back up with Beth. Is that right? Great. For an alternative al-Chet. So they're going to offer some particular verses of al-Chet, and then we'll sing together the refrain, which you can find at the bottom of page 828 in the Hebrew and the transliteration.
So, of course, this is a partial list. There are so many more harms and sins, but we're trying to avoid the sin of Jews taking too long in services. So you can keep going with this list on your own time. For the harm we have caused by not protecting those among us who are most in need.
For the harm we have caused by allowing so many people to live without housing.
For the harm we have caused by allowing confusion or overwhelm to keep us from engaging and learning and acting.
For the harm we have caused by not reaching out to people who are alone or hurting.
For the harm we have caused by destroying our natural world and with it the inhabitants.
Habitats of so many living things, including humans. Why don't you do the next one?
For the harm we have caused by not truly listening to what our loved ones are saying when they are hurt or angry.
Kulam Eloha Selichot Selach Lanu Mechalanu Kapelanu.
For the harm we have caused by refraining to acknowledge and remember that we are on stolen land, and by remaining ignorant of the history and present realities of indigenous peoples.
For the harm we have caused by allowing so many people, including children and seniors, to experience hunger.
For the harm we have caused by judging others rather than honestly examining our own behavior.
For the harm we have caused by not giving as much tzedakah as we can, whether that's time or energy or money.
for the harm we have caused by not doing enough to honor the dignity of every person by making our communities more accessible.
For the harm we have caused by not hiring and advancing more Black, Indigenous, and other people of color in our organizations and workplaces.
Kulam Eloha Selichot Selach Lanu Mechalanu Kapelanu.
For the harm we have caused by remaining silently angry or resentful rather than communicating our feelings directly.
For the harm we have caused by judging others based on their education, their social status, or their finances.
For the harm we have caused by allowing immigrants, especially immigrants of color, to be dehumanized and stripped of dignity and rights.
For the harm we have caused by not doing enough to protect our trans and queer youth.
For the harm we have caused by forgetting that we belong to each other.
Kulam Eloha Selichot Selach Lanu Mechalanu Kapelanu.
And the good news is that line that we say, V'al kulam Elohai selichot, salach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu, is we get to ask for help for all of these harms and trying to turn away from them.
We turn to page 454. If you are able, please rise for Avinu Malkeinu. Thank you. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Horneinu v'Hanenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Horneinu v'Hanenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh iman, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Yeah. turn to page 1202 for the Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula liyotzeh b'reshit, shenatan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 1206 at the bottom. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'nema v'haya Adonai l'melecha kol haaretz Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You can be seated. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 1216, so I invite folks who are in mourning or observing a yard site to rise if you're able for the Kaddish. Again, page 1216. Yitgadal v'yitgada shemei rabba v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon Uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imeru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach leolam u'almei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu, li'ela li'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, Tushvechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'yimeru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'menomiv hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru, Amen. May their memories be a blessing. Right, it is my joy to call up Karen McCord, one of our co-presidents. Thank you.
Let's see if I can, there we go. Welcome. My name is Karen McCord, and as Rabbi Benjamin said, I'm one of the co-presidents here at Havurah. As I look out tonight, I am filled with gratitude. I am so thankful to see so many people here together to embark upon our sacred journey of collective redemption. I want to spend some time this evening talking about belonging. Since stepping into a leadership role at Havurah, I have spent many hours thinking about what it means to belong in our community. The more I truly listen to our members, the more complicated I think belonging is. It's complicated because belonging means different things to different people. As our congregation grows, I feel compelled to keep us engaged with the question of belonging to ensure that our tent stays open and welcoming to all who want to enter. So I've been asking myself, what does it actually mean to belong? And I've been reading about it, and I've been talking to people to get a sense of what this signifies to them. I've also had many sleepless nights over the last year trying to understand how Havurah can be a place where all members feel that they belong. I know that we have struggled since the war began, but I also want to recognize that our struggle with belonging predates the war in Gaza. As some of you may know, I'm an oncology social worker. To grow as a clinician, I am constantly looking to the literature and other professionals that I respect to cultivate my skills. Over the years, I've found that Brené Brown has been quite an inspiration to me. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to say this evening, I looked to her to see if she had anything to say about belonging. And this is what I found. She says, true belonging is not passive. It's not the belonging that comes with joining a group. It's not fitting in or pretending or selling out because it's safer. It's a practice that requires us to be vulnerable, to get uncomfortable and learn how to be present with people without sacrificing who we are. We want true belonging, but it takes tremendous courage to knowingly walk into hard moments. Wow, that is really powerful, that true belonging isn't passive, and it takes work and struggle and vulnerability, and it's hard. In our community, I think it takes us understanding that we've had members who have been questioning their sense of belonging for a long time. This has brought feelings of isolation in a community that strives to be welcoming. And please understand, I believe so deeply in my heart that we are a community of loving, compassionate people who really want to show up for one another. And I believe we've done that well. And I also believe that this kind of work is never done. So here's my question as we enter into this new year. How do we keep ourselves accountable to a diverse definition of belonging? What will it look like to knowingly walk into hard moments, as Brené Brown says, and to truly see one another authentically? I think that trust is the key to this, and trust takes time, and it takes intention, and it really takes vulnerability. Some of the way forward to building that trust and expanding our definition of belonging is manifesting through the things like the Brit Kavod. So thank you to the folks in this room who've worked so hard on that. The Brit Kavod articulates our values, guides our behavior, and offers a way to respond to each other when these goals are not met. In our journey to be a respectful, anti-racist, anti-oppressive community, we're going to experience discomfort. And I hope that we're not going to interpret that as lack of safety, but to embrace it as an opportunity to reflect and grow. Our work isn't done. We're grappling with hard things, and we're engaged, and I'm really proud of the work that we're all doing at Havurah. And I also know we're not perfect. Part of how we're going to move forward to do this work is by being together. And so I thank you all for being here tonight. And so to end this, I have to do something uncomfortable, which is I have to ask for money, which I hate doing. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to get uncomfortable. So as you look around at these high holidays, this is money, this is time, this is effort. So there are QR codes in everywhere. But I also really want to take a moment to say that belonging means that if that's not a way that you can contribute, that your belonging is by being here. So thank you all, and Shana Tova. It's the other fun part about being co-president. You get to do the announcements.
It's the honor of doing announcements.
Okay. All right. So announcements. The Tikkun Olam Committee is continuing its commitment to supporting the valuable work of our partner organizations and others by collecting items for Rosehaven, the Portland Food Project, and Lift Up. You can find a list of the items needed and more information about this important work in the supplement. Please bring any items that you'd like to donate to the 4th floor in the donation bins. There will be free childcare tomorrow during services. Drop-ins are welcome as long as there's space available. Childcare is on the 2nd floor. The teen break room is open tomorrow between 10 and 1 for teens to socialize a little, read, and take a rest. I heard it was extremely hopping on Rosh Hashanah, and that is on the 3rd floor. The Tikkun Olam cluster tomorrow at 1:45 we'll be talking about the Brit Kavod, which I mentioned in the talk, that little ditty I just gave. So please come to learn more about that. I think this is a really important thing for us to dive into as a community. Tomorrow afternoon from 3:30 to 4:15, we invite you and your young children, ages 5+ to the family service on the 2nd floor. Oh, I think Apples and Honey will be back. That's very exciting. Yeah. Teens are invited to a discussion group at 4 p.m. with Rabbi Benjamin. Tomorrow from 4:30 to 5:30, families with young children and those unable to fast are invited to the family snack area on the 2nd floor, where there will be snacks provided. After services, we will have a break fast. If you have food to donate, please bring that to the 2nd floor. And that is all. Yeah.
So we are going to close with a Chet Sha'alti. It's probably new to a lot of us, most of us. It's new to us leading it this year. It's a beautiful, pretty new melody by Ali Halpert, and you can find it in your supplement on page 31. And it might take you a moment to get in, but please get into it as you can. And the last part is sort of going to be a little bit of singing and harmonizing as you're moved to. So just really wonderful to be together, and really grateful to be able to do these things that we're doing, these gestures of turning toward what is real, turning toward what needs attention, what needs care, what needs amends, what needs nurturing to grow within and amidst us. So may this day be a day of turning toward what is true and turning toward what is loving for us, for our community, for all Klal Yisrael, for all who dwell on earth. Achat sha'alti met Hashem ota vakesh. Achat sha'alti met Hashem ota Shivti b'veit Hashem kol yemei chayai lachazor b'noam Hashem. Shivti b'veit Hashem kol yemei chayai lachazor b'noam Hashem ולבקר בהיכלו ולבקר בהיכלו ולבקר בהיכלו
השם. כל ימי חיי לחזור בנועם השם. שבתי בבית השם. כל ימי חיי לחזור בנועם השם ולבקר בהיכלו. 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 שנה טובה, גמר חתימה טובה.
Definitely not tomorrow.